I'm Jess.
And I'm Sarah.
And this is Beyond the Shelves. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Shelves. This is our May episode where we are going to talk about book chats.
Yay!
Because Sarah and I are both on the book chat team, and we both love Reader's Advisory, so we kind of wanted to break down how a book chat works. Before we get into that, though, the things we always do, what's going on at the library next, Sarah?
So we have another avid author coming through, Joyce Carol Oates.
She's been around.
Yeah. That's a huge name.
That's a big one.
I know. But she's going to be here Thursday, May 30th at 7 here at Central. Mm-hmm. So you get to come back to the library if you were at the James Patterson one that was not here. And there was 900 people. You and everybody else were at that one. But yeah, so this one is May 30th back here at the Central Library. Another huge name. So kudos to the team that put this together.
Yeah, no, I remember, I probably was in maybe high school, honestly. I remember reading her short story collection, Because It Is Bitter and Because It Is My Heart, and being like, oh, literary. I feel like it was one of the first literary books I read. And then she wrote Blonde, which I feel like is also one a lot of people know, that about Marilyn, the fictional book about Marilyn Monroe. And then her new book, Butcher.
Yes.
I believe comes out very soon, if not already. Maybe next week, if it already did not come out.
You're so much better than
I do not have it in front. I don't have it in front of me, but I know it's soon because I remember in the email that we sent the Des Moines Public Library what to read, it was on there, and it comes out on May 21st. Thank you to our amazing producer. So yeah, it should be a fun time. I think it's I think it should be really interesting. So yeah, check that out on Thursday, May 30th.
Yes.
Reading. Now, what are we reading?
What are you reading, Jess?
So I feel like I've been reading a lot lately. I always read a lot, but more so than normal. But the two books I'm currently reading are just completely opposite, the most opposite books that you could ever find. And one is a backlist. I've been reading so much backlist, which is also taking
me my thing, Jess.
But so I'm reading the first book, The Poppy Wars, by R.F. Kuang, and I'm really liking it. I feel like it doesn't remind me, but it hits the ground running, and I needed that in a book. The main character, Rin, is immediately in this military academy, and I'm okay, things are happening. And I haven't got to the fantasy aspects yet because it is historical fantasy. It's a little more historical than fantasy right now, but I'm excited to see where it goes. I also know it is brutal.
That's why I haven't picked it up.
And I know that everyone says chapter 21 will destroy you.
Oh, you have the actual chapter.
Yeah, it's book talk. When I say everyone, I mean book talk. And so I'm excited to finish that. I think I'm into it so far, and I wasn't sure if it would be one that I would jive with, but I'm here for it. And then I'm reading Funny Story by Emily Henry because it's Emily Henry, and I don't love all her books, but her last two have been real hits for me. So I was really excited to dive into this one. It took me a minute to get into it.
I'm still on hold for it because
It took me a minute to get into it, but once I was in, I'm here for it. I love the trope. I love where I think Emily Henry does such a good job of making you like her characters. They're not, but they're flawed. I don't know, they're flawed, but they're likable. She's just funny. Yes. This one is extra funny, and I love it. There's parts of it where I'm I laughed out loud. So
I think also because romance is such a trope-ridden genre, and she writes them so well, so you feel like they're fresh.
Yes, because this is definitely a fake dating kind of forced proximity also. But yeah, I really like it so far. I think it's really funny and really cute. And she's just doing what she does. It honestly weirdly makes me want to. So I did not like People We Meet on Vacation. It was my first Emily Henry. So now I kind of want to go back and read it just out of curiosity, being do I still not like it? That was in my early romance, when I just started reading romance, contemporary romance. So, but anyways, I know you're probably 140,000's on the list, but hot titles no hold. Sometimes you can get it at the branches, but it's worth the wait, even though I bought it. Because I didn't want to wait. And then I did read my first Abby Jimenez book, which I know Sarah loves her, and I never read it before. I read Yours Truly. That, like, I'm not a medical romance. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, doctors. I don't know. Immediately hooked me. Immediately loved it. I genuinely loved it, and I think why I liked it for many reasons, but she writes a lot like Emily Henry.
Yeah, I think it's funny, very good read likes.
It's funny. She's smart. Like, the characters are likable. The tropes aren't overdone or like trite. So I loved Yours Truly. I'm excited to read. I'm on hold, which is Yours Truly was easy to get. But the first one in that series, Part of Your World. Mm-hmm. And then the new one, it happened one summer.
Summer's in the title.
Both the lists are long on that. But I'm on hold for at least the first one I want to check out. Because now I know that that character reappears a little bit in the second book. So I loved it. Yeah. So I had a good reading month. I liked a lot of what I read this month. But I wanted to shout that out because I know you like Abby. So.
I do. I've said it before, but I would follow her into a volcano if there was a new book from her at the bottom. Mm-hmm. I saw on Instagram Reels that she spotted someone at the Minneapolis airport because she's from Minnesota with her book and went up to her and was like, "Can I sign it for you?" And I was like, "Now I just need to hold her books in the Minneapolis airport and see if she appears."
I think the Minnesota setting is also a part of the reason I really like it, the close to the Midwest and. But yeah, that would be amazing. Just in general, if an author walked up to you while you were reading their book and was like, "Excuse me, I'm them.
Yes.
Would you like to sign this book?"
Yeah, I was like, "Yes."
I absolutely would. So that's my recap. That was long and drawn out. What are you reading?
Funny enough, I'm also reading R.F. Kuang.
LOL.
I am listening to Yellowface, so very different.
It is a very different book.
Because I'm a combo of I love a backlist, and I'm one of those terrible people that if everyone's reading the book, God forbid that I also read the book. So now that no one now that no one is reading it, I'm finally reading it. I'm really enjoying it, but the protagonist is hard to listen to, especially as an audiobook where she keeps trying to justify what she's doing. So I had to set it aside here the last couple of days. I was like, I can't listen to you justify what you're doing here, but I'll get back to it because it's very well written.
Yeah, I listened to The Reformatory by Tanner Udu, and that was also when I had to stop for a while because it was just too much. Sometimes on audio is different than when you're reading a book because it can just be too much. Either the character's too unlikable. I imagine if you would read The Poppy War, it'd be intense.
Yes.
You just have to be whoa.
Okay, so
hold on.
Yeah. So I'm also re-listening to True Love Experiment by Christina Lauren because the world is awful, and I was like, okay, I just want something that's happy for a second, and I'll go back to Yellowface. I just finished the graphic novel If You'll Have Me by Eunnie.
So cute. That's
so
such a
cute.
One.
If you like Heartstopper and Check Please, it's in that same vein. So I just finished that yesterday, and I picked up, haven't started yet, Winter's Orbit by Everina Maxwell, which is a queer, sad space boy, sci-fi fantasy.
Yeah, I feel like my friend Josh has told me, likes that book.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's definitely one on my list. It just, I don't, on the list. Now I'm reading backlists, though. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows?
Anyway, so that is what I'm reading or about to read any moment.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see it. Yellowface I'll be curious what you think about it when you're done. It was good. It's not I liked I think it's Disorientation by Elaine Cho, I believe. Kind of did that better.
Okay.
To me, it was a little more zanier, but it was the same vibe. This was just I liked Yellowface a lot, but it is very I don't know, this point A to point B kind of, you know, you know what's gonna happen.
I would assume, making assumptions here.
Yeah. But I liked it too. I liked it.
And it's very much not my kind of book either, as you all know from listening. This is not a book I normally pick up, but she was an Avid author last year. My husband also loves the Poppy Wars, so he's very excited I'm picking up an R.F. Kuang. I don't think I can do the brutality of Poppy Wars, but
I'll circle back and let you know.
But let me know.
I'll let you know. I think it's chapter 21. It's funny if like he'll be like, no, it's the wrong chapter when he listens to this podcast.
He audiobooks, so he has no idea where stuff falls in space.
Good. But I think it's towards the end. But I'll let you know.
Yeah, but I think I picked this up because it was like a hot title to hold, or like it didn't. So I was like, okay, cool. This is what I'm listening to now. Everything else I want to read has
hot title no hold. I love it, which is I love having it in our libraries now too. That like it's not just Libby, but both at Franklin and Central. Like it's wild when I just like see a physical copy of like Emily Henry's Funny Story on the shelf, and I'm like, cool. Or The Women, Kristen Hanna, The Women. That's one that's been flying. Like that takes 2 seconds, and it's checked
gone
out again.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about book chat. So if you guys don't know what the book chat team is, it is basically it's readers advisory. It's a readers advisory team at the library. And if you don't know what readers advisory is, it is basically we are really good at figuring out what books you like based on other books that you like, among other things. So we do not only do book chats, which we can talk about a little more. We also do like book lists, so any of our Heritage Month bookmarks or those lists come from us. The Binge Then Reads, like we put those together, and then Kelly gets them on the internet. The While You Wait, we put those together. So we do a lot of that like very bookish related work at the book chat
and
team.
Recommendations and stuff like that. We also have like external like partners come to us, and we do those book lists for them too. But yeah, it's a system-wide team. It's a big team that comes together to work on all these parts.
We do. The flash recs, like I know everyone loves those, like when we do those on Instagram or Facebook, where you say like a book you like, and we tell you a book, or we did the astrology one a while ago,
that one was so popular,
super fun. But yeah, all those bookish related things usually are a member of the book chat team or multiple members of the book chat team play a part in. Yeah. Let's see, what else do we do? Oh, there are youth and adult services on the book chat team. So there are youth, you can ask for youth recommendations or adult recommendations. Book chats are basically, you say what you like, and we give you a list of things that you might also like. I don't know a better way to say it than that.
But I love it because we run the gamut of like people who are like, I like exactly these 3 books and only these 3 books, and I would like you to find me 3 more books, so then I have 6 books, to just like recommendation on vibes. I truly had one of our compatriots come up to me, and she was like, I don't know what to recommend this person, because they're just like, whatever you like. And she's like, they don't want what I like.
You don't know what I
don't know what I like. They're just like, so, give me some ideas for me and my friends. Not just you, but other people.
They can range from the least specific to the most specific. And, both are great. I like both varieties of book chats, honestly.
Good for you. I'm like as specific as possible. You want that one book that's set in like the Czech Republic in the 90s about a girl who's 14. Cool, let's do it. Let's find it.
Found it. So if you don't, we're talking a lot about what book chat is, but it is important to let you guys know how you can get your own personalized recommendations, and that is through our website. There's just a form on our website that you fill out. It will ask you some questions like, do you want just us to email you a list, or do you want us to put you on, like, do you trust us and we put these books on hold for you? It'll ask what you like. We love a Goodreads or Storygraph link, because then we will not recommend you books you've already read. But it just asks you a couple questions. As we said, you can get as specific or non-specific as you like, and then that in turn it goes into our system, and we it's like a rotation as to each one of us who will get the book chat. But we all have our own specialties too. Like, if someone gets a romance book chat, we'd like to send that to Sarah. I mean, we can all do all of them.
100%.
But we all also have our specialties. Yeah. Steph is I feel like a good mystery.
Oh, yeah, she's great. I go to her sometimes when I get the mystery. I'm like, Steph, help.
Same. So, but yeah, it's so fun for us to do. And I do think that it is kind of a less known about.
Yeah.
Like, less known about thing. I'll try to talk about it. I talk it up at the desk sometimes, too, if someone's like, I'm looking for books for my third grader. And then, I can do that. But also I can be like, you want someone to take an hour to look up some books for your third grader and send you a list of personalized recommendations? Book chat it up.
And I love the book chat team because not only are they going to send you recommendations, but they're going to tell you, like, why. Mm-hmm. And they love telling you why. Mm-hmm. I love telling you why. I pick these books for you. But other things, too, to keep in mind are stuff like, if we send you a book chat and, like, we did not hit the mark, please let us know.
Oh, yeah.
We'll send you more.
Mm-hmm. Or if you've already read them, yes. You can just reply, because that email account, you can just reply, and we'll just be like, okay, we'll find some more. It doesn't hurt our feelings.
And I will say 9 times out of 10, whatever library staff member created that list for you, they have like 20 more sitting aside. Mm-hmm. I do know, not that you can't do it, but we give you options of like 1 to 3, 4 to 6, or 7 to 10 recommendations. We always love it when you hit that 7 to 10.
It's true. It's true. I think I had a 1 to 3 the other day, and I only did 4. So I only did one bonus, and I was like, wow, the restraint that you have. Because honestly, if you pick 1 to 3, you're usually going to get 4.
Yeah.
If not,
you're never
5.
getting 1.
No.
You're never getting 1.
No.
Unless you specifically are like, I want 1 book and only 1 book.
No.
There's no way no way that we are doing that.
So I think it's kind of fun how book chat started. It is a
quote unquote fun.
Yeah, it is a product of
COVID,
the pandemic.
Yes.
And I was working at the library, but I was not on the initial team. I was on a part of helping that, but you were, Sarah. Yes. So how did that all happen?
And I gotta shout out to Steph as well.
Yes. And Paige.
Who all got this started. We had been tossing around this kind of reader's advisory idea for years up to this point, and then COVID hit and we all shut down, and we were trying to find a way to get books back into people's hands as we as a staff came back, and that's kind of what really took off. Within 2 weeks, we had a book chat team put together. So kudos. I mean, like, I would never want a pandemic to hit again. But to have a time where we can just sit and for 8 hours a day and figure out how to get books into people's hands was kind of crazy. But in this specific version of it started because a lot of parents needed books for their kids. Kids were stuck at home. In their home. And as a parent now, which I wasn't at the time, especially with young kids, like, you don't necessarily know titles when you're walking in. I mean, we're in board book phase, so I know Evie likes books with real baby faces on it, and colors. Like, that's what we're into right now. And so that is the kind of like book chats we started creating for parents that are like, I don't have titles, but I know my kid likes
this and this.
This and this. Can you please send me as many books? And we did. We had parents that were probably doing book chats weekly. Franklin specifically, which has a really high circulation. Another shout out to Jen, who's the youth librarian over there, I think was pulling hundreds of books for these kids weekly.
Yeah. What a wild time.
What a wild time. Oh my gosh. I normally work at Central. I was at Franklin for 2 weeks straight getting this up and running in my own little office. It was kind of awesome. To have my own little space.
Where was your office?
Study room 1?
Yes. Because patrons weren't using it.
Oh
yeah, study room 1 used to be the book chat room.
Oh,
because you could, I feel like it does have a long history.
It's a long history.
It did start as that, and then it just kind of kept morphing into different, as people were coming back to the library, it was less about like quick, here's these 10, 15 books, and more about like, I think it got more curated.
Yeah,
as people realized what it was. Like, you could ask for more deeper questions, or like if you were having issues like with like someone in your life and you wanted some books about helping you communicate better, like even stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like, oh, I love mystery. And I love that about Book Chat, that you can really ask for just about anything.
Just about anything.
And we'll probably find it for you. Just about anything.
I mean, yeah, because we've had stuff as far as like, I live by myself and want to learn how to cook because I'm tired of eating out.
Yeah.
Can you find me beginner cookbooks?
Love it.
Yeah. Yes.
And while we were talking, we were talking about these like bundles too, like how we would like gather these like bundles. We also have, it's not just book chats that we do as a book chat team. There's also something we do called quick picks. And I feel like if you love Blind Date with a Book, that concept, which comes around every Valentine's Day, you're gonna love quick picks.
Yes.
Because with quick picks, it's just basically like a book bundle. It's like like 5 books that are a genre. So if you're like, I just need some romance books, put 5 on hold for me. Yeah. That's a quick pick. So that's also in the form. You can choose whether you want to do a extensive book chat or just like a quick pick, which I think is really fun too. Like if you don't have any parameters other than basically genre.
Yeah. I was like, so. I just need 5 mysteries, and I need them as fast as you can get them to me. Please put them on hold.
Put them on hold.
And they always go on hold versus like the book chats we
sometimes just email.
Just email you. Why? I had a book chat where someone was just like, I'm really into Hosier. I'm just gonna say it was Brooklyn.
Yeah,
our former.
It's okay. I feel like we can talk about it because it is a former coworker
and a former podcaster.
Mm-hmm.
And because it was Brooklyn, she asked me for 5 books on Hosier, and instead I went through the original Hosier CD and found a book for each one of her songs.
Like perfect.
And now my Spotify, which is not a bad thing, it's just like Hosier all day, every day, because I listened to that album so many times.
Trying the perfect song.
Perfect song. And with the perfect book and the perfect song.
Now we're going to get a bunch of like album requests. Like, could you give me 5 books that are like that? I don't hate it, actually. Yeah. I don't hate it.
I'm not a Swiftie, but the Tortured Poets Department, is that the new? Okay.
I believe so. I'm also not a Swiftie.
I was like, I'm going to have to listen to Taylor Swift now, which is not a bad thing, but I generally don't.
No. I like the idea of that you really can ask for anything.
Yes.
Like, truly. I think that's what it boils down to, is that like if you are struggling, if you are in a reading slump, if you really, really love Emily Henry and you want more books like Emily Henry, if you really are tired of reading a genre that you always read and want to step out of your comfort zone, like the list could go on.
You're tired of reading Goodnight Construction Site to your kid? We got you.
You need some more books about bulldozers, cranes, and steamrollers? We can take care of that.
Yeah, we got you.
Or, that's so funny. I love the concept that we just can really do anything. And I like that about book chat. I'm saying we're superheroes, basically.
Yeah, basically.
I do want to talk a little bit about how we actually, like, if I get a book chat, how I do it, I guess is what I would say, how I propose that. And we do use our brains because obviously we know a lot about books. So, like, I can just be like, oh, I think you might like this because you like this.
Yeah.
Whether I've read it or heard a lot about it. I use Novelist.
Oh, I love Novelist.
Which we've talked about a little bit here. We did an episode way back. But Novelist, you can use it too. It is one of our databases on the website. But it really is a good for finding read-alikes. Not just for like, oh, I like this book, but oh, I like fast-paced mysteries with lots of character development.
Yeah.
Which you might not know that's what you like, but we can figure that out by what you tell us you like.
That's our job.
That's our job. I feel like, I don't know, are there any other tools besides Novelist and then just your base knowledge of books?
I do use Goodreads and like Storygraph quite a bit. More if like I have not personally read the book, but like Novelist or someone is saying it's a good comparison, I will then like raid through the reviews.
Me too.
Or if it's like a book I've never heard of but someone's recommending, I was like, is it actually a good book? Are people enjoying it? Why do people like it? I use that quite a bit as well. And then I use Fantastic Fiction a little bit, more to see like where it falls, like if it's like number 4 in a series. I'm like, well, I'm not going to recommend that to you.
Yeah, I actually use Goodreads and Storygraph reviews more than I think now. Like if someone would be... want romance that's not spicy, there's no way to really accurately find that on the internet. So, like, reviews are the way to go.
Yes.
Or I want something that has no coarse language, which is a tough one because I can't read every book, so I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
But if I look at reviews, I can see how people are reacting to it. Just lots of reviews are actually really helpful.
Yeah.
Reader reviews, not necessarily professional reviews too, which are almost always on novelists that help me too. But I do like reading people's reviews as well.
And I will say I'm on Goodreads enough where there are like a handful of like regular reviewers that I trust as well, that they give like truthful but real reviews compared to like professional reviews that are trying to be somewhat unbiased, which is not always true on Goodreads reviews.
So I do love when I read a professional review that's basically like, I'm trying to say this really nicely, but I don't think it's good.
It's the one thing, like, you could say a lot about Kirkus, which I'm not going to get into right now, but they're not afraid to be brutal, though, either.
No.
Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oofta. I hope you didn't pay for that review.
I feel like that mostly covers it. Did I miss anything, or is there anything else we want to talk about book chat related other than you guys should request book chats?
Yes. I will say if the internet is not your jam and filling out the form on the website is not your jam, you can come in and we'll fill it out for you. You can call just the regular number and our telephone reference team will also help fill it out for you. So don't feel like you can't get a book chat just because you don't enjoy our website, which I hope you enjoy our website. But I feel like also most people who are probably listening to our podcast are fairly
internet
savvy. Yes.
And the time frame, a book chat turnaround from when it is a Monday through Friday is what we consider a week, because while some of us do work on Saturdays, it's just easier to just do Monday through Friday. What's the turnaround time?
3 to 5 business days.
Okay.
I will say on average, we get them done closer to that 3 days, but that is what we generally say, 3 to 5 days.
It just depends on whoever gets a chat and their level of busyness / if they're like take a day off for the week, or like when we work Saturdays, we don't usually work Fridays. So sometimes if you get one delivered on Saturday, that you'll know why. Because you're like, wait, what are you working on Saturday? Or Sunday for that matter.
Yeah.
But I think that's I love that time frame turnaround, really, because it's just...
And sometimes it's how in-depth which we love the in-depth ones, but those are going to take us a little more time.
And we'll reach back out to you if we have questions. If we're like, 100%. Hey, is this exactly what you were looking for? Or we'll email you. We don't normally call, but we could if we wanted to.
Yeah. We've had a couple people who prefer phone calls. We'll call you back too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so usually within the week, you will have some new books to put on hold or already on hold for you.
And that's another thing that we'll send you a form. It's like an email template, so it'll have the introduction. It will say who chose your book, so you'll know if it's Sarah or Jess or Steph or Rebecca. Like, you'll know who chose your books most of the time, and then you can directly click on the links to go immediately to our catalog. So if you're like, oh, this book sounds great, I really love what you have to say about it, you can click on the book in the email directly to our catalog and place it on hold for yourself, or look into it in more depth, looking at reviews yourself, or how long it is, or what branch it's at, how quickly you're gonna get it, etc. So I think that's really fun that the book chat is not just like a list of books. It's like a list of books, why we chose them for you, and you can immediately click and go put them on hold if you need to.
And also, if you do, like, if Jess sends you a list and you love Jess' list and you want her to do your next book chat, that's why we put our names at the top. You can ask for us directly as well. You can. Other than that, we usually rotate through, and it is kind of nice to get someone else's recommendations, because they're always just a little bit different.
It's fun to to have the same kind of not if you have the same vibe, but you get different recommendations from, like, if you have the same book chat, you would get different recommendations from all of us. Like, it's not like there might be some overlap in like the obvious choices, but almost always I feel like if we all looked at the exact same form, it would be a little different. Everyone would offer a little different book.
Yeah.
Little different book.
Little different books. Little books.
Different book. Different variety of books.
Yes.
Maybe is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I think that is book chat.
Yeah.
I think we got it.
I think we got it.
Because we're moving on. I feel like it was a little shorter discussion because we want to get into the book bulletin.
It's time for the Book Bulletin.
So there's a lot.
Oh my gosh,
I
there's
feel
so
like
much.
we were messaging a little bit before this, being like the book bulletin's going to take up half of the podcast because I feel like there's a lot of things happening.
Yes.
In the book world.
One of the big things, I love Nora Roberts as a human being. If you don't know, she has her own blog. This was a couple weeks ago, but she's also very honest on her blog. And recently, I don't know if it was one person in particular or multiple people on her social media were asking her to write a certain way, basically like create fan fiction for her own books. And then she was like,
people be crazy.
Yeah. And she was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then they started like threatening her social media manager and she went off. She told her fans to bite her, which I love it. I was like, you don't tell Nora Roberts what to do.
No. And I do think authors can be abrasive and not nice to their fans. Yes. I can think of 3. I'm not going to name check them, but just like generally like not cool.
Yeah.
But I think that like this is it's not Nora Roberts being like not nice. It's like being like, you all go away. You know I'm good at what I do.
Yes.
Bite me.
Yeah. And also, I read the whole blog post too, and within it, like, she was like, you do not come after my social media manager. She is a friend. She's the only reason I'm on social media in the first place. So if you want any sort of like interaction with me in this space, you're going to cool down.
Yeah.
You're going to back off. And I love that she's like creating a boundary. I feel like more than like being mean to her fans.
Yes.
She was creating a boundary. And she's doing it very honestly, which if you've ever like read her blog or anything, has always been the case. She's very upfront about how she feels all the time.
Yeah, I mean Nora's great. Like she's prolific. She's written a ton of books.
Yes.
But I consider her in a way of like Jodi Picoult.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I know they write different books.
Yes.
But like that they write a lot of books, but they're good. They have great relationships with their fans to some extent.
Mm-hmm.
They're like fun. Like they're just like cool authors.
Yes. So I always have to bring up whenever Nora Roberts is setting up boundaries. I love it. I love her so much.
I feel like that's one of 10 things? No, one of 5 things that we have to talk about. So I feel like the other one that was making its rounds on Threads and TikTok was some of this information is coming from a LitHub article by Brittany Allen. I just want to be clear that I'm not like taking because there's a lot. I don't know if I could even remember all of it.
No, thank you, Brittany Allen and LitHub, because I never would have been able to. But keep this in
there
order.
was this like big author drama where it starts. How do you pronounce her name? Do you know?
I didn't do the work to look it up since it was fake.
It's a fake name.
Anyway.
Also to be clear, I would have looked it up. It's just a fake name,
and it's one of many fake names.
Freitas Moon. Freitas.
I had Freitas, but
Freitas. Let's go with it.
Yeah.
So it starts. Let's take you back. June 2020. There was a queer science fiction fantasy writer known as Taylor B. Barton. See, there's a lot of B's.
There's a lot of B's.
Taylor B.
Again,
Barton.
doesn't matter. I don't think any of them are real.
And they were accused of racist bullying by several of their authors, which if you know anything about book talk, book Twitter, book anything, this happens a lot. We've talked a lot about these type of controversies. Barton, who is a self-identifying trans person, also wrote and published under the names Taylor Brooke. Yes. So Taylor B. Barton and Taylor Brooke. These are the first 2 names they use. Okay?
Yes.
So after this first little like drama, Barton Brooke was dropped by their publisher, and 2 of their novels were like dropped. So they were quietly shuttled out of print. So then the author formerly known as Barton Brooke, started using another pen name, Brooklyn Ray. So we've got Taylor B. Barton, Taylor Brooke, and Brooklyn Ray. But Brooklyn Ray, so this third pen name, began arguing with the accusers, all the people who were accusing the them online earlier. So like made up a third fake pen name to argue with people about their first like cancellation, if you will. I don't like using the word canceled. It's not my fave, but it just seems like the easiest word to say. So this third pen name, Brooklyn Ray, after they finally, like, they were argue, and then they never, I don't think, had anything published under that third name.
As far as I'm aware, no.
So they just kind of, like, backed away from social media, which in this article, I love that Brittany Allen says, but as every fantasy fan knows, a dramatic exit is often as not a smoke bomb covering, it's like a reinvention, which I think is hilarious. So we started in June 2020. Now we're in 2021. We are not even to this name. We're not even to the final boss of this name. June 2021, a newcomer named Jupiter Wise appeared on the fantasy scene. So like a new author. And Wise was an author who identified publicly as QTPOC, which would be queer trans person of color. Frequently alluded to their Latinx roots in fiction and on Twitter, and like would like go on tirades against the racist publishing industry. But as we all know, people on the internet are really good at sleuthing. So a fleet of internet Nancy Drews figured out that Wise, so this new Jupiter Wise, I feel like it just keeps going. I'm sorry, I'm like, who's confused? I had to read this twice. So this new person was in fact a deepfake creation of the white artist formerly known as Taylor B. Barton, Taylor Brooke, and what was the third one? Brooklyn Ray.
Brooklyn Ray, yeah.
So this is a white artist, a white writer who is making a deepfake of a not white writer.
Yes. So we're on the fourth iteration of her name at this point.
Yes. And it was like an attempt to gain sympathy and commercial appeal, which is so upsetting and such a hit to like the queer BIPOC community, like the author community. It just that's how I feel about it. You'd think the story ended here, because the fourth, Jupiter Wise, their agent dropped them in a public Twitter post for misrepresenting their racial identity. But there is more, because another queer fantasy and paranormal author, Fridas Moon, began publishing in 2022 as a, queer erotic horror author is how they identified. Also self-identifying as Latinx, and began publishing a new trilogy alongside some standalones. Yep. As people were reading these books, they noted that certain biographical details in their story didn't add up. And as like the last iteration of this person, like who knows what's her real name? I don't know.
I don't even know.
The last iteration, Fridas Moon, when they sent like beta readers their pages, everyone realized that they were very similar to old Wise like drafts.
Yes.
So like clearly it is yet another fake. So now everyone's really upset because, like I said, it's such a hit. Like, if you are misrepresenting your race or your sexuality to gain sympathy or, like, be able to publish more, like, that is dark. That's some dark stuff. The author does deny all allegations, just to be clear, and has gone private on all their profiles. So that's where the story basically ends.
For now.
Because, like, clearly I have said, like, 17 names in the process of this.
Over 4 years, too. This started in 2020.
Yeah. Taylor B. Barton, Taylor Brooke, Brooklyn Ray, Jupiter Wise, and Fridas Moon are all the same person. And all not representing who they actually are.
Yeah.
So it was I feel like that really was big on the socials, Threads, TikTok, and Twitter. I'm never going to call it X, sorry.
No.
That really, like, everyone was kind of, like, losing their minds over the fact that this person continually misrepresented themselves.
And continued to get, like, picked up by publishers and agents. Which also shows, like, you did not need to lie. Obviously, your stuff was good enough to get... Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And it did, like, I feel like it all starts with, like, authors, not that authors need media training necessarily, but, like, it all started with you just arguing online, being a racist bully. That's not cool at all. But, like, it all just started with you arguing online about something, and that's where it just it kept going. Like, maybe authors should have media training. I mean, you know, not all of them, but I just feel like that's such a wild story that it did not, that we had to tell it. Because what?
Yes.
Yeah, I recommend if you are a TikToker, you could find this easily.
Yes.
Same with, there's a lot on Threads, I think, about this too. Some on Twitter, but
it's all over TikTok. And now LitHub has a nice little little article if you just want to get the highlights.
And it cracked this article. She was funny. Like, the way she wrote it was, like, really hilarious. And just being like, another author scandal.
Yeah.
There's more. Don't worry. Not about this crazy person, but what was the other big news here?
Readers Take Denver.
Readers Take Denver.
Oh my gosh. I hadn't even heard of this until it imploded.
Same.
Because it was an author event in Denver where fans of all these authors can go. There's panels. You can get books signed. It's hundreds of authors and narrators too. So if you're big into audiobooks, probably the big name that was there was Rebecca Yarros of Fourth Wing. And it sounds like the Fire Festival of book festivals.
I believe tickets were $300.
They were!
Tickets were $300. They told people, I believe they told people that, like, they were selling about 1,000 tickets.
Yes.
They sold 3,000 tickets.
Yep.
They ran out of swag. They ran out of name badges. I heard that there was not, I read that there were not garbage cans for the authors. Like, just...
Apparently cookies disappeared. I still haven't gotten that whole
one
story.
Of the, like, volunteers, like, shoved author's assistant. Like, it was the most poorly managed thing from top to bottom. And it's happening again, which is hilarious.
I don't know how, because every author I have heard that had originally pledged to, or signed up to be on the 2025 Readers Take Denver has, like, pulled out, including Rebecca Yarros.
Like, imagine if you paid $300, you didn't get a swag bag, you had to wait in line for 3 hours, you didn't get Rebecca's, like, autograph. You just, like, what? Like, what?
And I bring up Rebecca Yarros because also she wrote a, like, multi-page Facebook post about her experience specifically. And I love there's a point where, like, I guess I should know this, but, like, big authors generally know, like, how many books they can sign per hour.
Yes.
Which is, I was like, oh yeah, that is a thing that would be very helpful to know. And she was like, I know how long it's going to take me to sign 1,000 books. And then you let 3,000 people in and didn't accommodate more signing time. I was like, oh,
it's so painful. It's so painful.
I watched a video on TikTok of all, like, the books that came in that volunteers were expected to move, and apparently if you were a volunteer who also wanted to go to the event, you still had to pay the $300.
Stop.
Nope.
Oh my God. That's so bad. It's so bad.
And then on top of that, supposedly, allegedly, like, part of the profits were going to
a
charity, which apparently is run by the person who runs the event and has not filled out the paperwork to be a 501(c)(3), which, if you don't know what that is, it basically, like, says to the government that you are a nonprofit and you can be on all those, it adds some credibility and some checks and balances to a nonprofit.
I believe it's like an animal rescue profit too, which, like, oh gosh, love it. This is not animal rescue, and that money is important, but, like, random, like, if you're having this giant book, like, why wouldn't you do something with, like, a banned book foundation or, like, literacy or just, like, something that, like, relates to, like, what you're doing rather than, like, your own personal unregistered charity.
And apparently, like, the charity is named after her own dog, and I was like, oh, there are just so many red flags.
And aspect. I don't remember her name. Like, it is one person who organized it, that's the problem. You can't organize a giant event. You need, like, multiple
yes.
layers. Like, one person didn't just organize James Patterson and Avid.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that was only 900 people. But I just mean, like, you know,
for like
it took multiple people figuring out the logistics and the parking and all that information. So, like, just one person being like, it'll be fine.
It'll be fine.
We'll just make some money and it'll be fine. No one will care. Oh, but did they care?
Oh, yes.
Also a really fun wormhole to go down. If you're into that type of internet drama. But I think it's all justified. I think everyone who's speaking is like, yeah, this is a hot mess. And
yes.
I will not go back. So
yeah.
We'll see.
I'll be interested if it actually happens in 2025. I am definitely going to keep my eyes out for that.
Me too. Okay, what else? What else we got? Oh, I think another really big, important thing that happened in the literary world is that the PEN Awards were canceled.
Yes.
This is a big literary award. The PEN Foundation really is generally known to advocate for, like, anti-book banning, free speech. They really will lift up, like, authors who are less known. Like, they have lots of grants. Like, it's a good organization. Yeah. But a lot of authors pulled their, like, they said, I don't want to attend your award. Please don't take my nomination away, because of the organization's quiet, non-stance on the war in Palestine.
Yeah.
Especially like an organization like what PEN America says they are, to just not say anything or do anything when that injustice is happening in the world. It made a lot of people unhappy.
Yeah, and
rightfully so.
And to the extent where it wasn't just one or two authors, it was enough to cancel
a whole big award.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that award just won't go. It's not given, right? Like,
I don't think so. I don't think
they're not going to give the awards.
Which, from, like, in the literary world, is huge, that there's, like, no PEN Award winner.
Yeah, because I would put that up there with, like, Women's Prize, National Book Award, PEN. Like, it's one of the big, like, I don't know the number. I should know. But, like, the big, like, 6, 8, whatever awards that are people follow, people respect, people look towards. They have some really, I think they have an emerging writer award, too, that is helped me discover some really cool new writers. So I feel like it's just a pretty big deal. Less in the book talk, in the book talk scandal world, and more in, like, the greater sense of what's happening in the world and the greater, like, literary library publishing writer community. Yeah. So wanted to touch on that. Yeah. We'll have to see. I mean, it'll be interesting to see where the organization goes from here, because everyone's mad. Again, rightfully so. Yeah. So, yeah.
It's the last thing and on the Book Bulletin, a little more local. So, as we talked about in previous podcasts, there is a lawsuit against the state of Iowa about their, I'm going to call it what it is, book banning law.
Yeah. I think it,
that at this point, all Big Five publishers have attached their name to this lawsuit. The Big Five, if you don't know, are kind of the big name publishers: Hachette, HarperCollins, Penguin Random House, Macmillan, and Simon & Schuster. So kind of the ones you've definitely heard of. They are all now officially attached to this lawsuit, which I think is huge.
Against the state of Iowa.
Yes, they are like they are not pro.
Yeah, just to be clear, they are all like, Iowa, you dumb. That's
exactly what the lawsuit says.
Yeah, I'm a lawyer. No, and I think that's big news. I mean, it was big news when I think Penguin Random House maybe one of the first ones that hopped on or started the lawsuit. I mean, that was big enough news, but now that all five are on board, it looks to be more. I mean, that's more money being dumped in it more than anything, which hopefully means that it will it'll work. They'll win, and that will not be a law in the state of Iowa.
Yes. So that's a little more local, close to home, and worth keeping an eye on as that moves forward.
Definitely. That is the longest book bulletin ever, and I'm not mad about it.
No, me either. I'm not mad about
because
it. There's
I love like the internet, like drama, and then also you throw in like a little more important things in the world. Like I think we had a good combination of all the weird and wacky and important book news.
Yes.
So, anything else today?
No, I think we've covered everything.
I think we have to. You guys should definitely fill out the book track form if you are so inclined. You can find it on the website dmpl.org. It's easy to find the book. There's a book chat link right on the front page. So yeah, that's all for us today.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.